Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Windows. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we'll be focusing, as we are during the month of Ramadan, the holy fasting month of Ramadan. Today we are focusing on tourism in Egypt, but the religious tourism in the country, the sectors, the different sectors of religious tourism in Egypt, and how to be boosting it through the efforts of the government in 2023, not just for the Islamic or the religious Islamic sites in Egypt. There are Christian tourism sites in the country, Jewish tourism sites in the country, how to be getting a strategy, a full strategy for the Egyptian tourism and the religious tourism in specific for 2023. And I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight to be focusing on such an important topic is Mr. Salah Hedayit, the expert in tourism. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate, and
Nice
the
to
Happy
meet you,
Ramadan.
Nice to meet you, Ramadan Kareem.
Anytime. First of all, how would you tell us more about your day during the fasting month of Ramadan as we are approaching the second week of it?
Okay, my day usually starts very early because I'm a tour guide actually, so I start to work by tour,
So you work normally during
Yes.
Ramadan?
Exactly,
Ah.
like early today. I had a tour early morning to Pyramid, Museum, Khan Khalili, and then back again to break my fasting, and then come again to studio here tonight.
So day and night, two shifts.
Exactly, so especially because in Egypt here we have a lot of, in Ramadan here in Egypt it's totally different from any country,
Yes.
as you know. So you have two shifts. Early morning you have the usual tours like Pyramid, Saqqara, places we know, and then at night you have to go to help your guests to know more about our Ramadan taste and Ramadan vibes in Egypt. Like have a tour to Sharia Mu'izz Street, see the Ramadan vibes there for cafes, for restaurants. Had the late dinner, as you know, suhoor,
Suhoor, yes.
and have all of that. Then at Saturday and Wednesday in Tanura show, Darwish show in Al Ghori market, in I think in Al Azhar, in Al Azhar.
Yes.
So it's totally different. They never seen any that Egyptian Tanura show. Totally different from Turkish, from Syrian. So Egyptian Tanura show totally unique, as in Egypt.
You said that Ramadan is different. Have you spent Ramadan outside of Egypt before?
Not yet, but maybe soon I will test it outside Egypt. But all my guests who are already Muslims or Christians, they said, okay, we never seen that anywhere. Even my guests visit Turkey, visit Dubai, may visit like India, like Malaysia, but they never seen that happen here in Egypt. Especially Fanus, our light lamp, we are very well known about that.
Yes.
And all what we have here in Egypt, from caution, from food, from drinks, you never find that anywhere.
We have a different spirit here.
Sure.
And you say that the guests that you work with or the visitors that come from other countries, they see there's a difference between Egypt and other countries.
Yeah.
Is it in general or just during Ramadan?
In general, Egypt have its own taste.
Yes.
But especially because we are in Ramadan now, so especially Ramadan is totally different. But all the year, sure, Egypt is very different from anywhere in the world. Not just about tours, but about the activities we do. We did here. Like I think no one in the world have a Nile River like us to have Nile cruise from Aswan to Luxor, or from Luxor to Aswan.
Yes.
Even recently I come back from Luxor, I had a tour there. So to have this trip in the Nile River, it's very amazing, and for tourists they very feel like it's a gurgust to be there. It's an adventure, or it's at times they never repeat it again, even if they come back again to Egypt.
Yes, we have spoken in general about tourism in the country here, and of course Egypt is well known for the outside world to be being a touristic country. Everyone wants to visit for the pyramids, for the Grand Egyptian Museum, for the Tahrir Museum, for all the things that we know about. But today we are during the fasting month of Ramadan, so we can be focusing on a different type, a different sector of tourism in the country, which is religious tourism.
Yeah.
What are the elements of religious tourism that we have nowadays in Egypt?
Okay, Because we are investing or holy festing month, so for Muslims, so let's speak first about Islamic religious
Yes.
tourism. First, here we had one of the Egypt very well known about the Hedayit, especially Cairo, the city of the 1,000 minarets.
Yes.
Once in Moise Street, you can find it's like an usual, actually an open museum. You never find it again. To find this collection from the unique types of architecture in the same place. We talk here about Fatimid, Ayyubid, Mamluks, Ottomans, and Muhammad Ali era. For every single dynasty or era, I said they have their own types or their own elements, make it very distinguished by them elements or for mosques.
Yes.
And we have also different types of architecture of mosques. We have the Ottomans one like Muhammad Ali and Sunan Basha mosques, and we have the another design. It's an Arabic or Egyptian design. It's very well known like Ahmed ibn Tulun, like Amr ibn al-As, like mainly all Islamic mosques in Egypt to have an open court surrounded with 4 arcades. It's the usual Egyptian style. But when Ottomans came to Egypt and then Muhammad Ali dynasty, they have the Ottomans style to have the open court. It's separate from the prayer hall,
Yes.
like Muhammad Ali mosque in the citadel of Saladin in the Muqatta. So once they came, now I took from the vision or from the spot or the place of the tourist or a guest, they saw never seen that before because our styles, it's very unique to Egypt. According to our climate, our atmosphere, they affected to the mosques. Even you can go for like the mosque of Abu al-Hajjaj in Luxor. You find the mosque inside the pharaonic temple. You can go for like Khanqa of Pibers Jakinkar. You can find the door label. It have cartouche of Ramses II. You can go for Nasr Muhammad ibn Qalawun mosque in the citadel of Saladin. It have one pillar have a cross, one pillar for Corinthian pillar. It means when Arabs or Muslims conquest Egypt or open Egypt and Egypt to convert to Islam, they don't destroy the ancient civilizations. They just copy from it.
We're
and then
mixing
they add.
cultures.
Yes, yes. And that's what we saw every day when you visit the Museum of Egyptian Civilization. You can see that different civilizations in the same hall, but it's really like a hand, shake hand, from hand to hand, from ancient Egyptian to Greek to Roman to.
And there's appreciation of the
Yes.
previous civilization.
Exactly, that's what happened in Egypt. That's why Egypt is very well known about here. It's tolerant more than any country, and around us, you know, every country in the Middle East have their own civil wars. In Egypt, we never have any civil war since 3150 BC. So for more than 5,000 years, Egypt have its own tolerance. They have peace in them hearts to accept the others and affected to other, not from other. We affected to them. Like, sorry, for all Greek and Roman countries, they invaded it, like Syria, like Lebanon, like Libya, like Algeria. You can find the culture of Romans affected there.
Yes.
But when we came in Egypt, we find Romans and the Greeks built.
And even the language.
Exactly. Even for architects, they built the temples according to Egyptian design,
Yes.
not according to Greek or Roman design. It means they respect the Egyptians, and the Egyptian affected for them, not from them.
Like Alexander the Great and the
Exactly.
temples in Luxor and the Aswan Fiala temple.
Fly Temple, Komombo, Edfu, Isna, all of Kalabsha, all these temples, it's built by Greek and Roman rulers or kings, but follow Egyptian design. Also, you go for Museum of Egyptian Civilization looking for the timeline there, and then go for step by from artifact to other artifacts. You find the effect, it's very clear, but they follow. If you back again to the where you start in the beginning from the pharaonic era,
Yes.
find the same.
Yes. You've mentioned the NEMC, the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, which is very important because it hosted the Golden Parade from the Egyptian Museum in
Yes.
Tahrir to Al-Fustat or the NEMC. The people coming from outside of Egypt, the tourists asking about it, what is the impact of inaugurating the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization and the Golden Parade that we have had in recent years?
Okay. First, I will speak by numbers and then speak in facts.
Yes.
So we have to be very thankful for former Minister of Tourism and Coast, Dr. Khaled Al-Anani. He because he already make a big difference. Before the Golden Mummy Parade, Egypt was number 2 in North Africa, number 5 in Middle East, and number 111 in the whole world according to the tourist number who visit Egypt.
Yes.
After Golden Mummy Parade,
111.
yes. I just recently make it research before I came here to make sure about the number, because 2 days before I was in a meeting with one of the owners of the companies for tourism company, and he worked for the holy tours
Yes.
to Egypt. So
Yes.
we talk about these numbers, and I shocked when I hear this number. So nowadays, Egypt number 9 all over world, number 1 in North Africa, number 2 in Middle East, according to what he did. What he did, like Golden Mummy Bread, number 2, like the the Ram Avenue in Luxor.
Yes.
The tourists start now, okay, Egypt now make a new propaganda for something is new. So we have to go to see. Even he started to show Egypt how Egypt is a very safe place to keep people to come, because the most big problem outside Egypt, they are afraid about the situation in Egypt. Even, for example, like Australia, like New Zealand, when tourists came from there to Egypt, they have to signature for a paper. It's their own responsibility. And Egypt was number for the color orange.
Yes.
It's been one of the most dangerous places. Nowadays, Egypt is one of the most security places.
That was back in 2011 and 2014, and the
And then at
Terrorist Brotherhood
2015,
Organization.
Yes, and 2015 until 2018. And then when we start to work, the tourism work again, COVID-19 pandemic. After COVID-19, we start to work again, good. And now, for 2022, Egypt received about 13 million tourists, and our income from them is more than $4 billion from tourism. So now our president, and I have to say that it's I think the first president for Egypt who gives all concern for tourism.
Yes.
And he leads a project how to evolve the tourism in Egypt. So the next plan or next step to receive about more than 25 millions and to collect $30 billion from tourism. And I think we're already ready for that, but we just have one problem to raise the number of hotels, because okay, if we have 25 million tourists, we don't have enough rooms and hotels and cruises for them. So that's the plan, already working for that, to increase again the number of hotels and reopen the closed hotels in Egypt.
Yes. You mentioned that Cairo is the 1,000 minarets city, as we call it. What is the most important mosque or the most popular mosque that people from outside of Egypt, they ask you directly to go and visit?
Okay, first ever mosque, the first mosque in Egypt and in Africa, and the third one all over the Middle East is the Mosque of Amr ibn al-As in Fustat. Date back to year 641 AD.
Which is near to the Namek.
So the
the
Namek
museum.
and also for the old Cairo churches.
Yes.
And we will talk about this later. Also, we have the Mosque of Ahmed ibn Tulun,
Yes.
one of the biggest mosques all over the world, and maybe until 2003 or 2004, it was the biggest one, until Emirates built the Mosque of Al Zayed in Abu Dhabi. It became the first and the biggest mosque in the world. And then we returned that back again in the Egypt big mosque in new administration capital.
Yes.
Also, we had the Sultan Hassan mosque and school, or madrasa. We have the Mosque of Rifai. By the way, if we can say for Egypt to have 3 great pyramids in Giza, the 4th pyramid will be the Sultan Hassan Mosque, one of the giant mosques all over the world and the biggest mosque all over the world. I'm just talking about one district. From each other, it's so close. Let's now go for Mu'izz Street. Several mosques, like the Mosque of Al-Azhar, which opened at year 969 AD, and yesterday it was an anniversary for Al-Azhar Sharif for 1069 years. So we have a lot of mosques, especially for all who came to Egypt from outside, like from the west side, like America, like Europe, and especially from who come from Asia, like Malaysia, like Bangladesh, like Pakistan, like India. They're coming to ask for the Fatimid Caliphate mosques, because you know they are follow the Shia sect. Many of them follow Shia sect, so they're coming to see the Azhar, see Al-Akmar, see Al-Hakim Ba'amrillah, which recently reopened again after the renovation project.
Yes.
And then we have the complex of Mansour Qalawun, the complex of Barkuk, the complex of Nasr Muhammad, plus that the city of death. For now, start to be a new trend to find people come to ask for, I need to go for city of death or Qurafa, as we say in Arabic, and want to see the Imam Shafi'i tomb.
Yes.
Now it's like a new trend according to the propaganda which is made by Khalid al-Anani, Dr. Khalid al-Anani,
Yes.
from a ministry, according to what he did, make people all over the world, like he made a great propaganda. Maybe because he was a tour guide in the beginning before he became a minister, but he know how to attract the tourist. Every month he have a new thing to approach for that, like new museum, new Golden Mount Bridge, new Sphinx Avenue, new excavations, new project for revenues, project or new open museums like Hurghada, like Sharm el-Sheikh.
Yes.
And they opened the Suhag Museum, Tanta Museum, and very, very soon we will have a new museum also, the Museum of Atun.
Atun.
Atun Museum in Minya. Let's talk about the Akhenaten and the cult of Atun during Akhenaten and the Minya history, plus the Museum of Malawi.
Yes, as you mentioned, the most popular mosque that everyone wants to see when they come to Egypt is Amr ibn al-As in Old Cairo. We'll be seeing a quick break about it, footage from Amr ibn al-As Mosque, and we'll be returning once again to you on a very special episode of Windows, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Mr. Salah, as you've mentioned that in recent history we occupied the number 110 or 111 in terms of ranking all over the world, with the numbers of tourists coming from the outside world into Egypt. What makes us in the top 10, for example, as a target? We want to be reaching the top 10 consistently, maybe with France and Spain and all those countries. What can we do? How can we be a leading powerhouse in this field, and more specifically in religious tourism?
Yes. Until now, we are talk together. Egypt number 9.
9.
For over world, number 1 for North Africa, number 2 in Middle East after.
So from 110 to the top 10.
To the top 10. And just for last 7 years.
Because we have a strategy now.
Now, yes.
Okay.
And it start to from year 2018 by Dr. Khalid al-Anani, and then we are continuing what he started.
Yes.
So now the new strategy for the holy tours. It starts by when the Vatican, Pope of Vatican, visited Egypt at 2017, and he announcing that the Holy Family flight to Egypt, it's considered to be a pilgrim for all the pilgrims who want to come to Egypt.
Yes.
So now we have a new strategy and a new type or a new sector of tourism start to work. Since that, our President Fattah Sisi gave an order to renovation all sites of the Holy Family flight. Actually, for the same sites nowadays, it became churches or ministers. So start from Rafah or Arish until Deir Muharrak in Asyut, far south. So let's start from the beginning after the Joseph the Baptist or Louis Joseph the Nagar, who have the dream from Archangel Gabriel came to him in a vision or a dream and ordered him take the child and his mother and to go to Egypt.
Yes.
Sure, he accepted his order from Allah and then came to Egypt and entered from Rafah until Arish, then Farma, and then from Farma to Tal Pasta to Belbais until Deir Muharrak, and for every single site now we have churches, monasteries, and even Jesus have the miracle in this spot.
Yes.
One of these important spots, it's nowadays very well known about Fustat or about Old Cairo district. There they have the cave where Jesus and his mother Virgin Mary spent inside there for 3 months. Now it's topped by a church called Abu Serga or San Sergius and Pacos church. Very well, it was very well known this church was suffered from underground water, the upraise of humidity for this church, and after this announcing, since year 2017, then start to have a very important project to renovation it again.
Yes.
And to save it from underground water, from the humidity, and now it's open for everyone every day. Also for hanging a church, one of the important churches in Old Cairo, it was used as a main cathedral for all Coptic or Orthodox Christians. So they renovation it again also and save it from underground water level, which was impacts have a little harm impacts for the construction of the Papillon fortress.
Yes.
That's why it's hanging, because it don't have any construction from the down the church, but it's built on the 2 towers of the Papillon fortress.
Yes.
For Old Cairo, churches now have very well renovation projects, and now they are working for the Beni Ezra Jewish Synagogue. They're working for that, and we hope fully they open it soon. And also for Amr ibn al-As, it's recently opened at the beginning of Ramadan. Then, now a lot of tourists came to Egypt, and I mentioned in the beginning I was in a meeting with one of the owners of the tourism companies, and he told me that he had a new contract with some companies in India and Malaysia. He will receive 20,000 tourists per year, just for his company, for the holy tours in Egypt. They usually start from Cairo by visiting the St. Sergius and Pacos church, and then visit the old Cairo churches, and make a tour for pyramid and museum, and then take the way to Taba to go for Jerusalem from there, and then continue to Jordan. Or start from Jordan, Jerusalem to Cairo.
So it could be encompassing 3 countries at the same time.
Yes, for you can say Palestine, Egypt, and Jordan. The 3 main countries Jesus visited and had his miracles there.
Yes.
So once he visits the tourists visit all these 3 countries. Now he finishes pilgrim, as the Muslims go for Saudi Arabia, for Mecca and Medina. Then
so Egypt now is a part of the pilgrimage for the Christians.
Yes, exactly.
Not just going to Palestine.
Yes. Egypt be a part of that, since the Pope of Vatican announcing that here in Egypt when he visited Egypt. Now they're building a new project to qualify all the flight of the Holy Family to be good qualified site for tourists to visit it.
Yes.
So they now try to start that from Tal Pasta or from Farma until they go for Asyut, for Deir Muharrak and Asyut there. By visiting Hera government like Deir Wadi Nasrun, the 4 ministers there, for Garbaya in Samanud, for Mansoura in Saka, also in Cairo in Maadi, in Old Cairo district, and then continue until the south until they reach for all sites like Darnaka, Jabal al-Tir, then to Asyut, and then back again there. They start again from Cairo, then from Cairo they can travel to Taba, or from Taba to go to Jerusalem, then go to Jordan. That's now the new project, and hopefully we are in very good progress. About 70% of the project almost finished, and they are keeping working until they finish it very soon.
If someone is watching us right now and he's thinking, living outside of Egypt or maybe within Egypt as well, thinking of having this journey, this holy tour or holy trip within Egypt, to say the least, how much time does he need?
Okay, the companies now offer that for 14 days. If you start from Farma or Tal Pasta to cover all Egypt, it will be 14 days. But for the holy tours trip for the 3 countries, it's almost 10 days. They came to Egypt or start in Jordan or Egypt. Once they start there, it will be 10 days to cover the 3 countries in your trip.
But if you focus on Egypt, it could be taking 14, 2 weeks,
Yes,
14 days.
yes, if he covered all the Holy Family flight
Mhm.
way, because you know, for Holy Family flight start from Arish, Rafah,
Mm.
Farma, Talipasta, and then cross the Nile River, go for Wadi Natrun, then Samanud, Mataraya, and then Mustorod, then came to Cairo, and Maadi. From Maadi, they go far south until Asyut.
Mhm.
Sure, the ticket was just a donkey, so it's the all family
Took
flight
much
in
time,
Egypt.
yes.
It took about 3 years or 4 years.
3 years.
Yes, for some resources they said 3 years. Some resources said exactly 3 years, 11 months, and 28 days.
So about 4 years.
About,
Between
yes,
3 and
to
4
be
years.
middle, it'd be about 4 years. Yeah.
Mm.
So to
Would it
make-
be expensive?
Sure,
Mm.
sure. That's why we are went to
I-
finish
Is
it.
religious tourism more expensive than the other parts of tourism in Egypt, or maybe in general?
In general, it's not about that. It's according to the service you ask it for.
Mm.
You need it for 4 stars, 5 stars. You need a
Mm.
luxury.
It's your
ultimate
choice,
luxury.
like the Hajj or the pilgrimage in Saudi
Exactly,
Arabia.
exactly.
However I want to choose.
Yes, exactly. If you want
Mm.
to ultimate luxury, Hajj, you pay a lot for that. If you need an economy one, you pay less.
Mm.
So it's also here in Egypt according to what you ask. So nowadays, it's people came especially from Italy, came from France, came from Spain, and from the East world, we from Philippines, from Malaysia, from Taiwan, from Malaysia, it's for Muslims, also from India.
Mm.
That's now
Do
the
Muslims come and
Egypt.
take this trip, the holy trip?
Yes, but it's different trip, sure.
Uh-huh.
They took the Islamic religious trip
Mm.
to start from Saudi Arabia and then came to Egypt
Mm.
to visit all the Shia sect mosques or the
Yes.
Fatimid mosques, or start in Egypt and then go for Saudi Arabia.
Mm.
So now we have in Egypt, we have two types of
And we're in
religious
common
tours.
between Christianity and
Exactly.
Islam, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, or maybe Jordan, Palestine, Egypt.
Exactly.
So what about the Jewish religion or the tourism for the religious sites
Okay.
of Jewish?
The same trip from Jordan,
Mm.
from Palestine, then Egypt, but we were different sites. So they are looking for them sites in Cairo, because mainly of them they coming, or they already was born in Egypt, or them relatives born in Egypt, and they coming to visit
Mm.
Egypt,
Yes.
as especially at Cairo. So they in Egypt to have some siygun, like Ibn Mamnoon and Muajir Street and Ibn Ezra in Old Cairo, and the siygun in the downtown of Cairo. I forget the name now.
Adli.
Yes, in Adli Street. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So the most important three siygun they want to visit once they came to Egypt, and show the siygun in Alexandria, in Nabi Daniel Street.
Mm.
It's the most important for siygun they come to visit, but until now it's under the renovation project to be qualified to accept all Jewish pilgrims
Mm.
in Egypt. Sure. So and sure, Saint Catherine Mountain and the Jabal Musa in Sinai. It's one of the important spots for them. So for these 5 sites or 6 sites, it will be very well qualified very soon also.
For the religious sites here in Egypt, and more specifically for the Islamic religious sites, do you get requests, or someone is asking you to be going there and seeing without being a Muslim from different religions, and they want to go and see the mosques?
Yes, 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 sure. I have a lot of tourists, especially from America and from Canada,
Mm.
because these two countries and also from England, they want to see the other side of culture.
Mm.
And Egypt very well known about that. If the motherland of Islam is Saudi Arabia, but actually now the Islam start to move from Egypt.
Mm.
Now we have Al-Azhar, the biggest university in the world for Sunni sect. Even we have a lot of mosques, more than any place in the world.
Yes.
So they want to come here. So once they come here, okay, they want to see the pyramids, want to see museums. After they finish that, you ask it, okay, we need the Islamic tours,
Mm.
see the Mosque of Egypt. So I'm combining them for Sultan Hassan Mosque, the biggest giant mosque. Also the Mosque of Rifai, one of the beautiful mosques in Cairo.
Yes.
And also to see the tomb of the royal family, like King Farouk and King Fuad, and recently Queen Farida and the princess of King Farouk, and also the tomb of Shah Iran.
Do you get
Muhammad
more
Pahlavi.
requests during the month of Ramadan to do that, especially because we have iftar and we have suhoor at the same time, so
Yes.
those two events could be added to the itinerary?
Exactly, exactly. I really did it and added. So they already come to see the mosques, and day after they want to have the Coptic tours. And I think no one in the world have our the variety for itineraries in Egypt. So I always say that for my guests, if you want to cover just Cairo, you need 10 days in Cairo to can cover all Cairo and Giza together. And then you can go then for more than 1 week again to see the Luxor and the Swan spots by Nile cruise. And then you have to go for more 7 days to go for Sharm el-Sheikh and the Hurghada and see the other spots. And then you have to add more, about 4 days to see Siwa oasis.
Yes.
So to can cover all Egypt, you need more, about 30 days, about a
Yes.
month. And no one have this variety in all the world.
Having a lot of things to see in Cairo, Luxor, Aswan, the Grand Egyptian Museum, the old museums that we have, the new museum like Dynamic that we have nowadays, Siwa, as you mentioned, maybe Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada as well, a different type of tourism. Is it a good thing for the country to be having a lot of things, or does it leave the tourists confused because I don't know where to put my money on?
Okay, all tourists already confused because now in Egypt, no, outside Egypt, they have a new trend called Siwa. Everyone want to come to Siwa. Everyone.
And celebrities,
Yes, everyone.
famous people, they come
Yes,
here.
exactly, and they make them some reels, some Instagram videos to publish or TikTok publish it. So okay, first thing they ask it, I want to go to Siwa. Once they know the price to go to trip to Siwa, many of them be confused a little bit, and some of them say, okay, we need to pay because we need to go there. Some of them pay, some don't pay, so we have to cover it by according to them pocket money.
And the budget,
In
the budget that they
yes,
have.
you have to cover all what they need. So some people came to just 3 days, 2 days in Cairo, 1 day in Alexandria. Some
Coming from outside of Egypt
yes,
for 3 days.
just for 3 days. And some of them just, and now we have a new type of tours start again in Egypt for the quick tour. We call it a quick tour. So it came from the Safaga port or Alexandria port, have 1 day in Cairo, visit pyramid and museum, one of the museums,
Yes.
back again to them cruise to move for next destination for them. So according to them budget, we have to cover that. So if you need 1 day, okay, we have sites visit for 1 day. If you need a month, okay, Egypt can cover that. So
It depends on what you want and how much money you want to invest in the trip.
Exactly. So it's a very big deal for Egypt for have this variety. To can, okay, for anyone who want to came for a tour, we accept him according to what he want, and we have the all variety. I know some countries around us just have 3 or 4 sightseeing landmarks. You can cover that in 1 day and then back again from you go. For malls, for sunset.
And it helps in marketing them and promoting them because they only have, as you mentioned, 2 or 3 sites. It is easier to market them. It is easier to be putting more money on them in terms of marketing, so people will know more about what they have in the other countries. Instead, here in Egypt, we have a lot of things that the Egyptians themselves, they haven't visited. They don't know about that.
Exactly. Like it's a very funny information. I told this to my guests when they go to Giza and shocked about the pyramid of Cheops or Khufu. I told them, okay, this one is the greatest one, but it's not the only one, because in Egypt they have 124 pyramids.
Yes.
Once they hear that, okay, how Egypt carried all of that, okay, if you want to say, okay, you need to come again. some of them actually come again to see all the places we have.
Yes.
Because once they said, okay, to spend just 7 days to see Cairo and Giza, and then go for night cruise for 4 days, 3 nights, and then back again for your departure flight, they feel like that, okay, it's not enough. We need to come to see the other. Some of them, okay, I know some guests come to Egypt for 6 and 10 times. And for every time they came, they start from Hurghada or Sharm el-Sheikh, and then start to move from there to see one place in every single trip. So now the new word or the new term for tourism we have, it's called Egyptomina. Egyptomina is Egypt lovers.
Yes.
People now start to come to Egypt, like for one of the Lebanese chief, okay, came to Egypt for a short trip and make a video in TikTok, and main trend, it's called Habibi Come to Egypt.
Yes.
Now this video have more than 10 million views, and 1 million person use this voice of them reels or them videos. So people now want to come to Egypt. Egypt now for all of the world be like Egyptomina, Egyptomina for them. Everyone want to come see what this country had, not just
And speaking of
sites.
what we have in terms of new things that we have, and the mosques that we have inaugurated, President Assisi inaugurated the Egypt's Islamic Cultural Center at the new administrative capital, and we have Al Fattah Al Alim as well at the new administrative
Yes.
capital. Does anyone want to visit that to see what is going on there, especially the new center for Islam there?
Yes, for people who want to for a new center, it's not now covered for tourists, and we don't put in itinerary there. But very soon it will sure added very soon. After maybe after they finish all construction in the new administration capital, everyone sure will want to go there, especially for the Museum of Egyptian Capitals. It's, personally, it's one of the museums I'm waiting to see it. I already visit and see the GM, the Grand Egyptian Museum.
Yes.
I already visit and see there. But one of the most important museums I need to see the Egyptian Capitals Museum.
And
Because
where would that be located?
it will located in the new administration capital.
At the new capital.
In the new capital to talk about the history of Egyptian capitals.
It will be
Since
including Tiba and Manf and Memphis
Everything.
and all of these things.
everything since from Eneb Hajj or Memphis later, until Luxor, until Lisht, until Lisht in Fayoum, then Alexandria, then the all cities in Cairo. Because Cairo is not normal city, to know. Cairo consists of 9 cities in the same time. So start from Matraya, Heliopolis. It was called On as the first religious capital in the world.
Yes.
Heliopolis or On. Then Memphis we had. Then in the Islamic time we have Fustat, we have Askar, we have Qata'a, we have Cairo, Khedive Cairo, New Cairo district. So it's not just city to see. Once you say Cairo, I told them, I guess, okay, what you want to see in Cairo? She said, okay.
Which city in Cairo?
Which city
Which
in Cairo?
neighborhood?
Yes, which
Yes.
city? If you want to say all the Cairo, okay, which one? The Fustat or Cairo?
Yes.
In the Azhar and the Khan Khalili market. So once they say or told this small brief, I just tell it in 30 seconds. People impressed about that. Once say, okay, it's a lot to see.
We have a lot
know.
to see and we have a lot
To know.
to talk about as well, but we don't have enough time to talk about. Mr. Salah Hedayit, the tourism expert, thank you very much for being with us tonight on Windows.
Yes, thanks you for a good, nice interview, and sure for next time we have to speak a lot more.
Yes, we will be waiting. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank
And
you.
this brings us to the end of Windows for this week. Thank you for watching and goodbye.